is show number 678.
Woo.
And today we're going to go over the still kind of red hot real estate market here in Las Vegas that's keeping this winter very warm right now. The best time to visit Las Vegas is right now because during the day it's 72, 75 degrees, and at night it's still only about 60. So and then we're also going to have a returning guest here today if she's able to come on this morning to talk about, kind of some of the pitfalls that and gotchas that can happen in the real estate business. And so she's going to share with her insights on what she's going through. But before we get to all that, Ruth, what is happening in real estate?
Well, let me hide you out of the picture so I can put this up here the right way. There, whoops, wrong way. There we go. Wow. As you stated, we're keeping a fast pace on our real estate. And here's Anetta. Let's bring her in. We'll show Anetta. And then, Anetta, I'm going to put you down into the lobby here. Okay. So you're hiding now with Max while I do the stats. Okay. So, yeah, we have, if you look here, why we say that it's a red hot market. I mean, the first several days of November, we've sold 175 homes a day. And if you look at last November, we were selling 130 homes a day for the same 5 days. So 175 is a big number for us. The average for the year is 143 sales per day. So that's why people are saying, wow, this is when the market should be slowing down. And it isn't. It's actually picking up. I'm not so sure why that is. I mean, June, July, we were doing 150 homes a day, 158. I think we hit one month, might have been June or July, not recalling that right now. But regardless, now we're doing 175. So, the even better news for me is that we listed 132 homes yesterday. So that's cool. We put 102 under contract, meaning people, they're in their due diligence period. And then we closed 136 homes yesterday. That's pretty big. We have 26 days of inventory, which again, doesn't bother me because we're churning. We are listing and selling. And of those 3,100 single family homes, we have 43 of them that are 400,000 and under that were listed yesterday. And that makes a total of 798 homes that are 400 and under. And that is kind of our sweet spot in the market. So I like that. The other thing I want to bring to everybody's attention is the non-owner occupied sales down here. And from this quarter, which started October 1st, we have closed 1,901 of those homes, non-owner occupied. So those are investors coming in, or it's mom and pops too. Only 18% of these investors have more than 10 homes. So these are a lot of current or people out of state that see a value here and provide rentals for people. Thank goodness, right? So we're selling about 45 of those a day. Now I have the next arrow pointing towards Zillow. I think Zillow has gotten out of the flipping market. They're not buying and selling homes anymore. They lost millions of dollars doing it. They just couldn't get it to where it needed to be. So they bowed out of the iBuyer market. I have a little arrow there by Open Door because Open Door is poised now to take over that spot. And I just want to show you here something this and put myself back in here. Okay. Also, Max, I want to mention this. I think this is important on what's happening in Vegas. Jerry Aguero joined the Raiders executive team. Now, who is he? Well, all the statistics that we have been reporting on for years as realtors to our sphere of influence and to people across the country and the world, these PowerPoints and beautiful presentations have been created by Jeremy Aguero and his company that he was co-founder of, which is Applied Analysis. Now the company is in the wonderful hands of Brian Gordon, who is a wonderful analyst as well. And it'll be interesting to see if what happens now. But I think that Jeremy had such a great system that we are not going to, we're going to continue, I should say, to get great statistics, great PowerPoints, great presentations out of Applied Analysis. But congratulations to Jeremy. He is going to, his new challenge is to help Mark Davis achieve his vision, not only for the Raiders, but also for our community. And of course, Mark Davis is the owner of the Raiders. So congratulations. What else is going on is that the Oakland A's came here for the 7th time to look if they're going to relocate here, which to come here 7 times, Max, I think you'll agree that that's an indication, right? That's an indication. They're awfully serious. All righty. And then oops, I don't know what's going on this morning here. We always have. Solo.
Yeah, I mean, when you visit a town 7 times to look at sites, they're probably pretty serious here.
Yeah.
And that'd be crazy if we get the Oakland A's.
That will be.
So, Anetta, we cannot hear you if you're speaking.
I'm
there you
walking
go.
up because life has a sense of humor. My computer decided to do like this major hard reset. So I'm on my laptop looking at my computer that's just taking like the biggest reset I have seen. So I'm just like, that's when you have to laugh. It's like, I don't know why I didn't do that. It's 7 o'clock this morning when I started using it, but here we are. So
here we are.
Yeah, fantastic.
I deal with these challenges every day. And the one thing I wanted to bring everybody on the screen, but I wanted to also show you this 30-second welcome to our holiday cactus garden so that people know that Ethel M opened yesterday and they'll be open, I think, through January 2nd or 22nd. I forget. Okay, well, let's watch this and see. So beautiful.
Wow.
Yeah, they do a good job.
1,000,000 lights.
And this is at Opportunity Village. Where is this?
This is at Ethel M's in Henderson.
That's awesome.
Oh, wow.
They've been doing this for 20 years. Yes, it goes through January 2nd.
Oh, fantastic.
The kids love this. Yeah. So I just wanted to bring that to everybody's attention, like what's going on in Vegas. We have lots of things that go on for Christmas. I think Opportunity Village, like you mentioned, that they normally just light up their everything beautifully as well. So
You got it.
yeah. So
Annette, can you pull your laptop down just a little bit to your head? There, perfect.
Okay.
There you go.
Up on it.
There you go. Fantastic.
So just after the left and balance with the right, whatever.
Right, you got it.
Thank
So,
you.
so Anetta Repogle is here with us this morning as well. She's been on the show a few times, and she's going to share with us some of the lessons she's learned over the last maybe 12 to 24 months here with some of the challenges that has happened in her real estate business in some areas around there. So, before we kind of dive into that issue, just give us a brief introduction again, Anetta. What brokerage you're with, how long you've been in real estate, and what's your favorite place to eat here in town as well.
Ooh, I have so many. Okay, gosh. So my name is Anetta Repogle. I have been involved in real estate in one form or another, as my own, as an investor, and then as somebody that would fix and resell my own houses because I hate the word flip. It's now been hijacked by everybody that's ever swung a hammer from junior high on. I am thankful to be with Love Las Vegas Real Estate because I am now with the company that I just am thrilled to be with. And Oh, the favorite place is so hard because Vegas is just the most amazing food place ever. I mean, if we're kind of a group of food snobs here, and if you don't have good food, you don't last very long. But I tend to like the little smaller hole in the wall restaurants. Like for Thai food, my favorite place would be Ping Pong over off Sunset. For Italian food, it would be Casa de Amor. For other kinds of just regular mom and pop food, there's some great ones. So those are two. So definitely visit Ping Pong, and it's by Sunset Park, and the service is great. It's a mom and pop place, which I love. They remember you. They treat you like the best. Same with Casa de Amor.
Fantastic. Have you been to Ferraro's?
I have been to Ferraro's.
How is that compared in town to some of the other places? Because it's an Italian steakhouse, right?
Yes. It is. It's been there a long time. You can't say that it's not great. They cater a little bit more to tourists. One, for location, and two, for, price. Atmosphere is very, very different. It's a bigger atmosphere. So food-wise is great. A little bit higher on the price scale than, an average local place. Service is always good. It's been a while. Like the atmosphere-wise, food-wise, and value-wise, my choice is still Casa de Amor, or even the Sicilian, which is right down the street from that.
Yeah, so, fantastic.
I'm sorry?
Where's Casa de Amor?
Yeah, it's on Tropicana and Topaz. So it's kind of a little, it's an East Side gem. And then they have a beautiful outdoor tiki bar, and you can eat out there. And like when I walk in, even if it's been 2 months or a year, they remember me. They remember what I drink. They remember how fussy I am with my food. They remembered my mom, which was Mama Kay, that passed away. Always asked about her. And this is going over the course of 10 years, so they still have the staff, which I really like. And
oh, wow.
Yeah, wow. It's a special place. It reminds you of that personal service that you lose sometimes in some of the other places, which is what Vegas is all about. It's all about good service.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, yeah, I gotta check that place out.
Yes.
So, Anetta, we normally talk about your business here, but this time we're going to talk about some of the a challenge that you kind of faced over the last couple years here in your business. Can you share what you can share with us, and maybe what you learned throughout this process? We're going to be in for a surprise because you didn't tell anything about it, and so we're all hearing it for the first time. So, and the floor is yours.
My computer's still resetting, so it's like I'll just stick with my laptop. So, gosh. I'd like to.
Anetta, give me 1 second. Ruth wants to make a comment.
I just want to make a comment, Anetta, that we wrote a new law class this year, and it's called The Attorney General is on Line 1. And one of the things that we point out is that sometimes people do things that we can't control, and it puts us in a precarious position. And so one of the things that we try to teach realtors is how you handle those situations, but sometimes they just blindside you. And I think that even though there's mediation and arbitration requirements, people can still go to court. Just giving everybody a little landscape. So go ahead.
They can. So, it's kind of hard to start at the beginning. Small businesses, I don't even know. It's one of those situations. I think a lot of people are like 3 decisions to the left or 3 decisions to the right to have things going good or have things going off kilter or have things kind of snowball. And I was wrapped up in a situation where this attorney, I don't even know how I got there. I was a part of a volunteer group. I was one of 10 volunteers that helped somebody clean out their house. And this was somebody on the historical West Side, which is not the West Side. So Habitat for Humanity had turned down helping this man with his house because it was so far gone. Roof, plumbing, electrical, it had never been updated since 1942 when it was built. Never had any updates whatsoever. It had a flood like 18 years prior, so the foundation was gone, all et cetera, et cetera. So the sad thing is like a lot of people had turned this man down, including Habitat for Humanity, including a lot of big companies with unlimited resources, then some company like Off Wall, one of those signs, we can help you, we'll buy your house type of thing, advertised on the side of the road, told him they could help him. And when somebody tells you what you want to hear, it's easy to want to believe that. So he had gotten wrapped up in kind of this scam, and all the volunteers were brought in by various different sources, and I happened to be one of them. These people I never saw again. I was at the house one time, and a year later, I'm a part. At first, I was a witness to whatever had happened because I had been there. Then they snowballed it and turned it into I was the ringleader and part of this. And I'm like, I'm sorry, I didn't live in the state. I wasn't even here. I was still in North Dakota. So I had gotten wrapped up in something, and it was very, very frustrating. So as I start layering this process of the legal system, I'm looking at these depositions. I'm like, well, that's not true, and that's not true, and that's like, and then having to defend yourself at something that is so wrong. It's hurtful. It's scary. It's upsetting, and you get angry. So I kind of started that process of defending myself against something that I was not a part of. Then I started realizing, so it's the attorneys. I mean, it's scary how these attorneys do that. I think they target these people, and attorneys should not be allowed to advertise on television. Because I think that's just my opinion. I think they target these people and they snowball it into something that bad or deceptive. And then like the stuff that they were writing and turning into the court, I'm like, he knows that's not true. He's got these depositions. He's got all this. So as for 2.5 years, I was battling this, and there was originally 14 people on this lawsuit, and most of them either never defended themselves because it's costly. It's expensive to defend yourself, or they just settled. Now the bigger companies settled, and I'm like, now I know why they settled immediately, because it's cheaper to settle than it is to fight. And that was frustrating in itself. So me on my soapbox, I'm like, I am not going to pay to clean this man's house. Like I refuse to be a part of a system that was wrong. And 2.5 years later, as I'm going through this court process, I mean, we went to a trial. Nobody could believe that it was even going that far. And then after the first day of trial, when you actually see the people and the evidence was did you have a contract? No. Did you ever meet her before? No. Did she ever promise you this? No. Was she a part of this law? No. Was she this? This is from the person that filed the lawsuit. No. Huh. So I'm sitting there like all these no's. And then finally my attorney stepped up and goes, are we going to go forward with this? And the judge is like, okay, I can't deal with this anymore. So but I mean, this is a 2.5 year process. So everybody loves the story of David and Goliath. You just sometimes forget how hard the David part is.
Right.
It's not always easy to stand up, and it's distracting and it's expensive. So I had to make big choices in my business. Do I cut back on this and defend against something that I believe is so unbelievably wrong? Now, because I'm me, we're going after the other people that
for all this lost time and
Oh yeah.
So where was this property in Nevada, or
it was in Nevada? It was in the historical West Side. So
that's right. Okay.
Because I want to bring something positive, bring something to light. 6 months, a month from now, 6 months, but really this is just going to be something bad that happened to me in a system that I got caught up with, because I have the most amazing people that talk me off the ledge. And of course you don't want to tell people what's going on because it's embarrassing and it's nervous, that kind of thing. But I am going to be a part of educating people, because some of the systems that I had in place helped layer me and protect my business. And then now I've developed even more. So you just want small businesses to be aware that we are targets for frivolous lawsuits. We are targets for people that want to pass blame for bad decisions or for, everybody I think wants to pass blame. And if you don't layer it correctly, you want to make sure you don't get caught up in that. So
you were just a volunteer on like basically going in and doing some work on the house?
The man was a hoarder, or his mother was a hoarder, and he inherited the house that he'd lived in, most of his life, whatever. But the mother had died 10 years prior to this. So all of the hoarding stuff was still there.
Was
Like
there,
literally, you
right.
couldn't walk through. A serious hoarding situation. The ceilings had collapsed about 15 years before, so there was insulation everywhere. They were trying to do a remodel, but there was so much stuff they couldn't even get to the floors. So I showed up. Like somebody told me, oh, and that's a lot of what I do in my business TLC. We deal with hoarding. I do mostly cleaning. And it was just getting started back here in Las Vegas because I was still in North Dakota. I was a developer. So on my resume, it looks, if you look at me on paper, it's like owner, developer, because I had a contractor's license at the time and was working in North Dakota. I also had a Nevada real estate license. I made myself a target because they were saying that I was an expert and I should have warned him that he was not. I'm like, I talked to the man for 10 minutes. How am I supposed to know? The attorneys try to follow the money.
So exactly right.
That's how how did I become a witness? And then all of a sudden this prime ringmaster, even on their own filings, I was a witness. I was one of multiple witnesses. And then as they realized that none of those witnesses had anything worthwhile, they picked me. And you just have to make a decision. Like either settle for something you think is wrong. And I couldn't do that. So hindsight, I'm not, thankfully I had people that were willing to work with me, but you can accuse me of something, but if it's not something that competes with me, I will fight you till the day I die.
Right. So share with us a little bit about the layers you're talking about here, that you felt like protected you and what you're going to do moving forward here to continue to add that protection.
Yeah, and it's sad because I really pride myself on wanting to get back to my community and wanting to help. Like one of the systems I have in place is, I work with code violations. So if, it doesn't have to be a senior. If it's somebody that gets a code violation and truly can't afford it, if you're talking about trimming some trees, that takes me 10 minutes because I have all the equipment and a truck, I'm going to go and do that for you. And then the idea is to kind of spread goodwill. Like, what, you might not be ready to sell, but if you know somebody that is, just think of me. So it helps them, because sometimes companies are charging $250 to go trim one tree branch. And that's something, like I said, that takes me 10 minutes. If I'm picking up garbage from your lawn, because, big deal. If I'm in the area, to me, that doesn't matter. So now I just have to, and I'm sad, I give them a waiver. I'm not here in a professional capacity. I'm not here acting as a realtor. I'm not here as a past contractor because I never renewed my license because that's not the work I do. Now I'm here in the state, but at the time, and then just kind of surround yourself with good people. But I also think educating more of the population, when somebody has a sign up that says we buy houses cash and you're calling them, this is your biggest asset. So you're calling somebody off a homemade sign, or you're calling somebody off a website or a postcard that isn't regulated, that isn't, licensed. And there's reasons that realtors have licenses. There are reasons we have business licenses. There are reasons we have things like the real estate division that hold us accountable and brokers that teach us the right thing. So don't succumb to those. And you never meet a con artist that's an asshole. I'm sorry. You never meet them that are like, whatever. They're smart people and they really do target these things, but just deal with a licensed professional. And you have steps to follow because of that. This man unfortunately started dealing with one of those people that was off that sign, off of a letter. And then when contractors come to your house, get a receipt, and their receipt has to have their name, their contractor's license. It has to have what they're doing. People stay friends by contracts. So even if I do work for a friend, it's in a contract, it's laid out. This is what you can expect from me, and this is what I expect from you. And that is how people stay friends. If there's a change in what I'm doing for you, write the change down, initial it. And again, it's for their protection as much as yours. Oh, I thought you said you do this. And I'm like, and then vice versa. I told you this would be an additional charge, because contractors make their money by change orders. That's just a known fact. That's how they underbid you. And then once they're in there, they do what's called the contractor creep. But you also want to do it in a way that it makes it fair for everybody, but put it on paper. And if they're not doing that, you have the responsibility to do it for yourself.
Right.
Protect yourself and protect them. So. And
not only that, a lot of homeowners don't realize, when you hire unlicensed and uninsured people to work on your home, if they get hurt, if their employees get hurt, you're liable.
100%.
100% liable. And the last thing you want to do is to save a few $100s. It is not worth it.
But you never end up saving. That's what the people don't understand, because these people are gypsies. So they'll come in and do work for a day or two. Then you can't get a hold of them. Then you've got to call somebody in to work on top of their work. And nobody wants to do that. And then now, so you're working so you have one person's work here, one person's work there. But there's attorneys right now talking to the guys that work at Home Depot. We all see them, the day labor, that encourage them. If you slip and fall at their house, we can sue them for that. These attorneys target those people and encourage these lawsuits.
Wow. I thought that was illegal.
The hole went deep, and it's upsetting, it's sickening, and all of this. But people also don't understand, if you're having an unlicensed electrician work on your electricity, you've just voided your homeowner's insurance. And then when you resell the house, you may say somebody may be buying the house as is, right? But then they still have to resell it. That person that's buying an as-is house may say, oh, I don't mind that it was, Mickey Mouse wiring, but then it's their responsibility to bring that up to code, to either for their own home insurance or to resell it themselves. So I feel like it's an obligation to educate the public, that these are things to look out for. If 10 people tell you, no, they can't do it for this price, and one person says, yes, they can, run from that person. That's, and it's unfortunate, because they tell you what you want to hear is that you can remodel your house for $30,000. It's impossible, especially a house that has, most any house, but one that hasn't been worked on since 1942. Pretty sure that's not going to happen.
So what ended up happening to this property that they ended up having to sue all these people? Was it the work half done?
This man the whole claim along the whole thing was that he lost his property. But because I'm, like a dog with a bone, he didn't lose his property. He sold it. He chose to sell it to a company. And then then they tried to hide that in the lawsuit. So I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm confused. A year and a half later, he had an accident not relating to this situation that put him, unfortunately, sad, in a wheelchair. So he couldn't go back to this property because it wasn't wheelchair accessible. And it's an old house, so you couldn't make it wheelchair. It was too compartmentalized. So him and his attorney and his friends made this decision to sell the property. So now it became, who can we blame for this? And ultimately, the property was sold, and he kept the profit. It was sold for profit.
Okay, so his claim was that he lost his property because
of bad construction on a home renovation loan.
Got it. Okay. Wow, man. Yeah, that's a crazy thing about the law system here in America, is that sometimes you don't have to be guilty. You just have to have money, and you will be a target.
Right. How sad is that? How sad is that? I'll tell you, this is the most I've been through. I'm like crazy things, and I'm always thankful, but this has probably been the most humbling, frustrating, scary, angry, the emotion of my life. So you're sitting there, and then we went through a jury process. And these people are bored out of their mind. They don't want to be there. Everybody thinks they're anything but a Nazi to get out of jury duty. Truly, I've been there myself. So I'm going to think of the whole process differently in my life. And then ultimately, they're just why are we even here? Okay, Brad, I had to get there to show that. And this all happened in one day. He testifies, and they're like, okay. And to his credit, the man admitted that on the stand, even though he admitted this in his depositions, they still went forward with this trial, which was very confusing to me how that can even happen. But it did, and it's over, and I'm thanking the universe.
Right.
And now I feel obligated to educate people to hopefully never have anybody happen to them, including this person. So whatever happened to that person,
absolutely.
I'm sure something happened. Now, we never know the intermixings, but I really firmly believe with all my heart, it is fueled by these attorneys that dangle this carrot in front of somebody that says, well, let's do this and we'll get you this. And, you drank the Kool-Aid.
Mm-hmm. And hopefully they didn't just bleed that person dry of all the other settlement money, because, this is a lot of time. Going to trial is expensive. That's why no one wants to go to trial, because it is expensive. And I'm surprised that's tax dollars at work too, because that judge
Well,
is paid by you and me.
yeah. If you were to see these, and now, well, that's the thing about me being me, is now we're going through the layers of, yeah, there's definitely the bar association's involved, and the judicial review is going to be involved, and not to chase negativity, it's to educate.
Yeah, right.
and prevent.
Exactly.
It's expensive to be on a soapbox, I'll tell you what. But
Yeah,
there's things that I would rather go without eating than have somebody have to go through this for all the wrong reasons.
No, absolutely. No, we appreciate that. You know, we need the courageous few like you, Anetta, who are willing to stand up and spend money, right? I mean, that's the thing. Money, time, effort, headache, all the stuff that
lots
goes
of
into
productivity, because every hour I'm not working on that, I'm not working on my business.
Right.
You know,
right.
So you asked me about the layers that are putting into
Yes.
place. Every person in Nevada should homestead their house, 100%. But people don't even realize it's $50. It's very inexpensive. That is something, a gift that I do for every single one of my clients. We're blessed with so many things in Las Vegas to be able to do that, you know. And I mean, these people are trying to go after my home. I've owned my home 25 years, and they're like, you know, it just. But some of the things I had in place at the time, some of the things I've put in place now, and then some of the things I'm putting in place in the future. So you just, as a small business, you have to protect yourself from pariahs, because, you know, they go for the low hanging fruit.
Right.
I think
businesses.
the homestead protects $500,000 of the person's home, and the median price here is $400,000. So it protects them and against bankruptcy and against things like this.
Mm-hmm. That's primary homes, right?
Mm-hmm.
Primary homes. So I've had my house homesteaded, you know, for many, many, many years. So there's that. Some people can take it a step further. Like, I actually do have my home in a trust, only because I live here in Nevada, and all my family lives out of state, and I don't want to have that, you know, I don't want to have any questions. So I have it in a trust. That's a different layer. Not everybody wants. I mean, homesteading is the first. It's the most economical, and it's the easiest. You can do it online. You can do it for yourself. It's $50.
Right. You just download a form and basically bring it to the county clerk's office.
That's it.
And they stamp it, and then your home is now homesteaded. So. And
Anetta, what is your second thing? I want to comment.
So my second thing is, I personally have my home in a trust. And not everybody takes those layers. I don't know that I'm recommending that. I'm just saying what I did.
Well, can I?
Yes, please.
Add to that. So we teach risk reduction, and in our risk reduction class is the cybersecurity. And one of the things that people can do online is find out who owns the home, and we are trying to get the assessor's office to not make their records public, because the deed shows the signature.
Yep.
And I don't want to give anybody ideas out there, but you know, there's a quick claim, and that's why you hear all these ads about, you know, protect the title to your home. And somebody just went to jail for selling 120 homes that he didn't own, because he could get the right information and quit claim the home to himself and then sell it and collect the money. So it is so important to put your home in a trust so people can't find your home. Yeah, because they have to find it by name. And there's other ways too, but at least that's a layer that we try to tell all the real estate agents that we teach, to make sure that when you sell a home, or buyer buys a home, whatever, and have them put it in a trust, and don't use your name in the trust.
Yes. Don't make your trust your name. That defeats the whole purpose of trying to hide that. Correct.
So I'm sorry, Anetta, go on.
Please, by all means, because everything that I'm repeating, I've learned from you. I've mastered it through you and your classing. So I go to the source. I mean, by all means, I've taken the little bit that I knew, and I've definitely fine-tuned it through mentors and teachers like Ruth that help educate the rest of us. I have cyber insurance because of Ruth, my classings with Ruth. I took that on as something, as a professional, I want to protect myself, but I want to protect my biggest pride in my business is that I want to help people. And, you know, sadly enough, I can help them through my own experiences, like what not. I can tell people a lot of what not to do. So and I want to share that. And that's either through real estate, bad investing that I've done, construction where I've, gone over budget, or something like this, that I've put systems in place because I've thankfully had people to help me do that. Not everybody has that, or it takes the time, but you need to, you should, you have to. It's a different world.
So you mentioned earlier in the show, the as is. The as is not a protection clause for anything.
No.
And so all that is that you get what you see, not you get how it works. And that's why we have that seller's real property disclosure that has become such an important document. And one of the things in there that a seller has to do, an agent cannot fill this out for the seller. The seller has to fill out this 4-page seller's real property disclosure. So that seller is telling the buyer everything they know about that property. If you replaced your hot water heater, you have to say that you replaced your hot water heater. Yes, and people don't realize that. If you have a dog that howls next door in the middle of the night and wakes you up, you have to disclose that because there was a quiet enjoyment clause in the SRPD. And there was a situation where somebody bought a home. There was a dog next door that woke them up at 2:00 in the morning, and they went after the agent for not disclosing that and the seller.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Well, yeah. So there are so many, and that's why I love what I do in teaching agents, and doing my shows so that people are aware of all the things that they can be held accountable for.
That's interesting.
And I deal with primarily a lot of sellers, so I tell them, just confess. We're not saying you have to fix it. We're not saying you have to do it, but I make them confess, whatever it is, confess. Like, and then if there's something that comes along during the process, I had that happen where, how often do we get those sound bursts? I was selling a 1974 house, the brick wall had been up there since 74. Week before closing, something happened and the wall fell. Called the agent, changed the SRPD, because now it's still a part of something we had to update it. You can still update those while you're doing it, because you have to update them, because there's things that you don't even know or you forget. And you automatically think you're thinking like, oh my gosh, I did do this, or I don't have that. Just confess. That's why I love knowing the rules, because if you know the rules, you can always find the right way to do it that's fair.
Yeah.
I mean,
absolutely.
I love rules. I love them.
And this reminds people why you need a real estate agent too, because you need someone to help you represent you, understand all these things. Because if you're on the the consumer or the buying side, you might be buying into a property that you don't find disclosures on, and a real estate can help you discover that or help you with the whole litigation process. So there's so many details.
Well, any house that's 20 years old, I insist we stick a camera down the sewer lines. It's $150. Why would you not do that? I make that. And then I've had a client that was angry because when her inspection came back, the whole house was self-wired. It had this and it had that. And I told her, this is not the house for you. Oh, and she was like, I'm like, you know what? I'm walking, we can get another agent because I'm going to walk away. And this is not the house for you. It was just, so she ended up walking away. And then a year later, I ended up selling her the perfect home. She was mad at me for about a month. And then she's like, okay, I'm so glad. And I'm like, and then now this house, ultimately, I had problems because I'm nosy. So I kind of go back and look and I'm like, oh,
sure.
Because I did the right thing. So a lot of people are afraid to walk away from something, and it's hard because it's emotional, it's personal, it's financial. But at the end of the day, you've got to think a year, 2 years, 5 years down the road, and protect that. My job is to protect her. So I walked away from a commission, and I was okay with that.
One of the things, when Zillow was trying to make the home buying process like you can buy a home online and those types of things, what I kept thinking, because I'm a trainer, a teacher, I create classes and all this on real estate, is that, so is Zillow going to have multiple lawsuits at some point in time because people bought homes without knowing what they should have known because they didn't have an agent representing them? So, I could just vision in the future that Zillow was going to have problems with lawsuits.
Yeah, well, because they technically are representing that buyer, right? If they're buying that home.
100%.
Yeah, like I know the CEO of Zillow, he created Expedia. So you go and you see a list of airports and cars and whatever, and you pick. Okay, then he's still on the board of Netflix. Blockbuster's gone, right? So you just create a list of a movie and you pick it. But when he got into the home business, there's more to the home than the list and the pick. It's not the same business model. And I think that was a problem. And he's no longer going to be able to do that, obviously, because he can't do it and make money.
Right.
Well, I did like a little video, and I said they were, so I don't know if I want to use the Zillow or the iBuyers are trying to do for the housing market with McDonald's and for the hamburger. Quick, easy, fast, bad for you. Okay, I just think of that. So now the home buying experience doesn't have to be as hard as some situations are, but it's not meant to be easy. This is your biggest asset. So if you're going to be uncomfortable, you may be 8 out of 10 days, but on those 2 days, when you make this much more money, you're protected, you have no liability, because we're in a society where they like to blame. So if you don't protect yourself selling something, 5 years later, they're going to come back and like, well, I didn't know the dryer vent, firm to the left, and now I like firms to the right. So, just things like that. But that's why you have an agent like me that reads the fine print, goes through all the details, and I protect you as the seller and I protect you as the buyer, because that is my job.
Right.
And it's my privilege.
Right. And on the buying end, it really, there's no reason why on the buying end you shouldn't have an agent.
And you bought a new home, Max, recently, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they have a pretty complete, complex warranty because they don't want to be sued.
Correct.
And they know that they can't be responsible for every person that's hammering a nail into that house.
Right.
And everybody that's putting a piece of an electrical receptacle someplace. So their home warranty, they pay heavy for insurance too, because they can't be responsible for just everybody. So, I kudos to the new home builders. And I know you've been in a similar business, Anetta. It's not easy.
Nope. Which is why I sell them now. It's so much easier to sell them than it is to build them. I was the accidental developer, and I can, like I said, can definitely tell you what not to do. And I want to be like you. Okay, so Ruth is amazing about spending her time, her energy, her resources, because she's all about education. I'm all about education, so I want to tell people as much as I can, but not at the level of commitment she has. So thank you, because it's people like you that help people like me master my craft and do my job better, so I can really go back and help people, and that's how I know I can overcome situations like the one I just went through. I just had to outlast the negativity. I had to outlast that. And there was times I had that talk with Jesus, and I'm like, I can go back to being a bartender. I was so happy. It's like everybody loved me. Nobody was, it was just like you have those conversations. And then in my heart, I had to remind myself that's not what I was meant to be doing.
Well, fantastic. Well, throughout this whole process, you've had a tremendously good attitude and great energy, since, I didn't have any idea, what you're going through. I mean, Ruth mentioned it a couple of times maybe, but appreciate it. And now you have, you're better, sounds like you're better off for it. You have some more tools in your tool belt to help, the consumer and the industry itself to understand and to learn. So, this week, big announcement with, the big company exiting the home buying game, really sends a message to consumers and, our community here that, agents are necessary here to represent the end consumer. And
licensed agents.
Right. Licensed agents.
Licensed agents, licensed contractors, just people that have taken the time, the education, and the commitment to master their craft. Right.
And put in place things that protect both you, the consumer, and themselves, right? I mean, there's cost to that. And why would you want to hire someone that didn't take the time to do all that stuff, right? So, no, appreciate you coming on, sharing your story, Anetta. We'll get back to, seeing where you are next year now that this project, this distraction is behind you here. And so we're excited to see your numbers going into 2022 and 2023 here. So appreciate you coming on. Ruth, what's going on in training this week?
Well, I'm going to just say one more thing and then
Sure.
we'll go into training. So I just want everybody to know that in the Clark County area, we have 14,000 plus realtors. Now, those are realtors and real estate agents are two different things. So I'm talking about realtors because we have a code of ethics. And those 14,000 realtors sold 88,000 sides of homes, meaning there's a listing agent and there's a selling agent. So we sold 44,000 homes so far this year. That's 88,000 sides. In addition, there were 12,000 new homes that were sold, but I'm not talking about those. I'm talking about the resale homes. In our legal system through the division, we had less than 50 infractions by agents. That's how good Las Vegas real estate agents are. And kudos to them because people don't, I know when I moved to Las Vegas, just, it's like, oh, this is going to be the wild, wild west. Oh, it is so not the wild, wild west here in the Las Vegas real estate arena. And I just have always loved being a broker and an agent here and now a trainer, because the agents are awesome, like you, Anetta, and kudos to you. And thank you for all you do for so many people.
You're very kind. Thank you back. Thank you. Thank you for having me on again. Sorry, because I don't like to breed negativity, but I want to make sure that I turn something positive into anything that happens. So hopefully people can just layer and move
learn
on
from
and
this. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, educate the consumer. Do not use unlicensed people, please.
Right, exactly. Yeah. Well, and to that, we are having a class on Monday from 10 to 1 in our training center at 8400 West Sahara. You can Zoom or you can come in the classroom. It still counts for core credits. And it's the buyer brokerage class. And it's how important that is to protect you with your buyer. And Jimmy does such a fantastic job. He just created this class this year. I kind of helped, but it's really his show. He does all the dotting of the I's and the crossing of the T's, and he's a great presenter, and he keeps us entertained all the time, as well as, when you're laughing, you're learning. That's my thing. People laugh, they have fun, and they learn. And if you need some CE credits or you need to learn about buyer's brokerage, even if you don't need the credits, come to the class. You can Zoom or you can sign up at bee.vegas, bee.vegas. And we have the complete November calendar. We have a core class every week. And this week it is contracts.
All right, fantastic. So they're starting to blow in my backyard right now and doing some pounding. So it's perfect timing. Thanks everybody for joining in today. Thank you, Anetta, for coming back on. And tune in on Monday for Ruth at 9 a.m.
Thank you, everybody. Have a great week.
Have a great week, everybody.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Anetta. Thank you, Max.